Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and this time we are talking about a variety of things having to do with Nintendo. There have been updates on the Hollow Knight Silksong situation. There have been updates on Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. And yet these situations leave people wondering, is there something else bigger going on? Is there more news about to come out having to do with these games? And it ultimately goes back to this expectation that there will still be a Nintendo Direct about Switch 1 before our big Switch 2 Direct in April. There have been rumors about this Switch 1 Direct to happen this month, and nothing has happened yet, but more rumors on the situation have popped up, suggesting other exciting things, such as Metroid Prime 2 Remastered. So is there something going on here? Can there still be a Nintendo Direct? Well, if you assume that Nintendo still plans to support Switch 1 to a healthy degree moving forward, I would argue that there needs to be a Nintendo Direct still. And we're getting into all of that today. Before going forward, here's a message about Eneba. Eneba can be your ultimate gaming marketplace, with over 40,000 digital products to choose from. Mobile games, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. Eneba offers the hottest deals for any title, old or new, from AAA to indie, and there's something for every gamer. And also, there is an excellent Trustpilot score, so you can rest assured your gaming experience will run smoothly. Eneba prioritizes customer satisfaction by offering 24/7 live support to resolve any concerns regarding your purchases. And purchases are quick and easy. As you see here, you can pay through Apple, Google. It's quick, seamless, and simple. And there are lots of wonderful deals. For example, with Helldivers 2 for PC, it's dramatically cheaper than it is for other places. And so there are wonderful deals for a variety of games just like this, DLCs, and gift cards across all the platforms. Eneba has you covered. So to enjoy amazing deals and incredible customer support, check out the link in the description below for eneba.com. And I'd also like to point out that I am aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers by the time the Switch 2 launches, so if you find yourself enjoying my content, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe and hit that notification bell. So today, many were hoping we would see some sort of official announcement about a Nintendo Direct this month, and that has not happened, at least up to this point, but instead what we've gotten is a whole bunch of news having to do with Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and we've gotten a lot of interesting details about this game. We already knew the game was going to have improved visuals and an improved user interface. We've seen the improved textures, the more vibrant colors, the better looking faces. We've even seen some new characters, and clearly there's going to be some new story content there. But the improvements to the game go well beyond that. We've learned that you can change your party at any time. And this is a big deal because in Xenoblade Chronicles X you could not do that. You would have to run around the map, find particular characters, talk to them so they could join your party, and then you have to go back and do it again if you want to switch them out. Now, like most other Xenoblade games, if you have a party, you simply access the menu and you pick from them. And from this image here, we can see that there are spots for even more characters, so there will be more playable characters in this game compared to the original release for Xenoblade Chronicles X. But the improvements don't stop there. There is far more. You can now change the time whenever you want, which is important for quests and simply enjoying different times of the day and finding different items and such. So this is another nice quality of life improvement. But something else that's kind of a big game changer is this new quick cooldown feature. So basically you have this new meter that you can draw upon in battle that allows you to immediately use other arts that would otherwise require more time to cool down to become usable again. And so this meter you can use repeatedly throughout battle, and essentially it allows you to use your moves more frequently and more quickly. And you can expand on this meter throughout the game, which I find to be quite interesting because as you progress Xenoblade games in general, these things become more readily available, but this is stacking upon that improvement even more so. And there are certainly some questions on how this might impact the difficulty balance of the game, but one thing that it seems clear is that this game will be more inviting to a larger audience by doing so, and to be honest, I'm kind of excited to be able to use arts more quickly. I think it could be interesting, and if there's still difficult fights out there, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Now, we did learn something a little bit new about the story. As pointed out by RPGsite.net, here they say, "Of course we can't talk about this content yet, but what we can say is that it's not accessed through a separate menu or launcher as you might have seen with other Xenoblade titles." And when we take a look at the trailer that showed off the new area, it's just a whole bunch of islands in the sky, so it might just be something we can access once we have the scales that allow us to fly around, and we just go to this area and there's a whole other quest line there. That might be how it works. Now, how might this relate to the end of the game and there being some sort of epilogue? That part remains to be seen. There are also no blade levels or division points anymore. Everything's been streamlined and simplified. You don't need field skills to acquire all these different chests, you can activate probes more easily, and basically exploring and progressing in the game, there are far less hurdles now. They've even changed around the map system, which they kind of had to do because there's only one screen on the Switch as opposed to two with the Wii U. And the general sentiment seems to be that they've made the game a lot easier for a lot more people. Party members not in the active party still gain XP, affinity levels grow more quickly, there are now more rewards as you progress throughout the game and you complete your survey of Mira, and tracking your quests is a lot easier. So there are a lot of improvements, but something that's been made clear from the previews is that there's still a lot more, that there are a lot of things that have been seen from these previews that are not allowed to be said right now. There are embargoes and NDAs, and we don't know exactly how the story comes together. A lot of this stuff we might learn when reviews come out, but it's also possible that there may still be another update officially from Nintendo about this game. I mean, we're still more than a month out, so I think that's actually a relatively reasonable expectation. Now, maybe they just do that through Twitter or what have you, but it's also possible that they may be saving one more big reveal or one more big trailer about this game in a Nintendo Direct. Which brings us back to the conversation about there being a Nintendo Direct. Some people think that the recent happenings with Hollow Knight Silksong on the Nintendo eShop might be related. So, for those who don't know, Silksong briefly vanished on the Switch eShop, but now it's back after a few hours. Why did it even disappear at all? Perhaps because there are some sort of things going on the back end, because an announcement that would be tied to Silksong could be about to happen, perhaps in a Nintendo Direct. Which I find interesting because it takes us back to a leaker or a potential leaker known as Samus Hunter, who had said that we'd be getting an update on Silksong before the end of winter, and February is still a part of winter, so if there is a Nintendo Direct that includes news on Silksong, then they would have been right. And so on that note, Samus Hunter has actually been saying some things, not making their own tweet, but responding to questions, and they actually changed their name. They are now Dark Samus Hunter. And so here the Ostrich asked, Metroid Prime 2 and 3 Master next week in the Nintendo Direct, right? I mean, it's literally the last chance. Dark Samus Hunter says, yes, prepare your wallet for this week. Which is interesting. We are in this week, it's Wednesday, and nothing's been announced yet, so I'm not so sure, but there still is some time, technically. Zara asked, and Metroid Prime 2 Remaster in February? Dark Samus Hunter says, yes, the month isn't over. Lemmy Koopa, Nintendo Direct? Question mark, Dark Samus Hunter, it's happening. As we scroll up, Shmel Adun, were there any changes to the game from the Riddle? It's still planned for this Direct, or will it be an April Direct? Or will this not happen at all? Dark Samus Hunter, I don't have too much information yet about Direct. The information I had received was several months old, and I haven't received any new information since then. I don't rule it out since it's still coming to Switch, and this will be its last fully dedicated Direct, but I don't know now. Now, this part doesn't seem as confident as some of these prior responses, and some people thought that maybe there's something a little bit contradictory going on here. Possibly, but let's see what else they had to say. So here, JL7 Gaming asked Samus Hunter, I have several questions for you. Is it a general direct, a partner? Is the announcement scheduled for tomorrow? Thank you for your response. This was a couple days ago. And Samus here says, it should not be a partner showcase, given that there are a handful of Nintendo announcements like Prime 2, Xenoblade X Spotlight, and Kirby Planet Robot, and maybe Fire Emblem Remake. But they might fit it in as a mini to not interfere with the main presentation of the Switch 2 label. Okay. And here, Revoltosa, we are still waiting. Dark Samus Hunter says you won't be waiting for too long, but they might drop it without any fanfare before the release. And so, also we have here, the Ostrich, what are you referring to, the direct Prime to Remaster or Silksong? On everything in the post above, a direct presentation with those announcements. And I don't need to continue reading on here. Basically, what they think is that Silksong, Prime 2 Remastered, Kirby Planet Robobot, these things will be included in a Nintendo Direct Mini, and there may not be any fanfare. There may not be any lead up, which, if true, maybe the director's shall drop tomorrow. Could be. A lot of us were very worried about the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal last month. We were told it would be happening on January 16th, and on January 15th that night, everyone was saying, oh, it's not happening, and yet it still happened. Nintendo simply chose to not announce it in advance. They simply put out the trailer in the morning, and that was it. So maybe this time around as well, there will be a Nintendo Direct Mini about the things we've been hoping to hear about, but there will be no announcement ahead of time. We will simply see the presentation published tomorrow randomly, or whenever it does happen. I'm not saying it's tomorrow, but that could be the case. Of course, this is a rumor from Samus Hunter, which a lot of people don't want to take too seriously, so we'll see if it pans out or not. But someone that more people tend to take a bit more seriously is Pedro Henrique, PH Brazil. They provided an update a few days ago on this Nintendo Direct situation. They were the initial person who reported on there being a Direct this month a few months back. They've reiterated multiple times that it's still happening, and they provided an update on what may be going on. As promised, here's an update. Just talked overnight with my source, asking for reassurance, not unlike how this thread does, and they still insist some form of Direct is happening this month. This is the same person who clued me into the August presentation last year, but back in August, at this point relative to when the event was supposed to take place, I'd already heard about it from someone else, which isn't the case now. And so, Brazil has still heard from his main source on the matter that it's still happening, but he has not heard additional sources. However, last week we did hear that Jeff Grubb had also heard there would be a Nintendo Direct. And now Samus Hunter, or Dark Samus Hunter, has come back from their month of silence and is responding to questions on Twitter. Does that mean anything? We are unsure. It's kind of one of those things we're just going to have to wait and see on what comes true. But I do think that there needs to be a Nintendo Direct about Switch 1. And the reason I think there needs to be one is because Nintendo still needs to push Switch 1. I'm all about Switch 2. I'm ultra hyped for Switch 2. I've been so ready to move on to the next generation for some time already. But the fact of the matter is, I'm going to be an early adopter. Not everyone's going to be an early adopter. The Switch 1 needs to be supported for years to come. The Switch 1 is currently Nintendo's primary breadwinner. Even though the console's been around for 8 years, it still sells pretty well, both hardware and software-wise. Yes, as I've discussed many times, sales have been trending down year by year across the board, but considering how late we are into the generation, it's still relatively strong. And the Switch 2 is not going to be able to support Nintendo immediately. There's going to need to be a transition period. It's not going to happen overnight or even over the span of 2 or 3 months. It needs to take a couple years, I would say. At least a year or so. And so I imagine that the way they will handle this transition is very similar to how they handled the transition from 3DS to Switch. The 3DS at the time was Nintendo's primary breadwinner, the Wii U was definitely not, and while the Switch was up and coming, they still supported the 3DS for a couple years into the Switch's life cycle. So Switch 2 has not even come out yet. I think, of course, Nintendo still needs to be making announcements about Switch 1, and currently, the only exact release date we have about Nintendo published titles for this year moving forward is Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, March 20th. After that, we don't know what else is coming. Yes, we know Prime 4 and Legends EA are supposed to come out this year, but we do not know when, and those 2 games alone are not enough for Switch 1. And so given this gap in public knowledge on what's next for Switch 1, it's about time for Nintendo to update us on what's next for Switch 1. So I still think there needs to be a Nintendo Direct about Switch 1. Now maybe it's not actually a Direct, maybe it's a Twitter Direct, The main point is a series of announcements from Nintendo where they tell us what's going on. Especially after yesterday where we learned that the Gold Point program and the Voucher program are being phased out, I think something from Nintendo about what's next for Switch 1 is important, because people who have Switch 1s may be growing concerned about future support of the console. So I still think something is happening. We talked about last week how they're having a reprint for the Kirby Amiibo next week. So it seems to imply that there might be some sort of Kirby-related announcement relatively soon, perhaps in a Nintendo Direct. So I'm still optimistic Nintendo news is coming soon, and I'm not just talking about the expected Pokemon Presents at the end of the month. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.